Welcome back to All In with Rick Jordan. I am Rick Jordan. I'm super pumped because there was a little pre-show conversation going on with my man Angus. Dude, introduce yourself.
So my name's Angus Arthur. Right now I'm a student at Michigan State University doing pre-law, and I'm also trying to represent Jamaica for the next Olympics for wrestling. So very diverse.
That's awesome, man. And you're on the team, right, for Jamaica?
Yes, I'm on the team. I came to here from Calgary, and I wrestled in the Canada Cup. So yeah, I've been wrestling a lot and traveling.
That's fantastic. And I was doing a little bit of research beforehand. You are on the very first Jamaican wrestling team. Yeah?
Yes, that's correct. Yep, the first one.
That's awesome. How does that feel? You know, did you ever see the movie Cool Runnings?
Yes.
That's what comes to mind.
The movie,
The Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah.
Well, you are that, but
exactly
wrestling.
For wrestling. Yeah, and so hopefully the results are better for me than them.
Yeah.
And I'm not as afraid of the cold weather. But yeah, I am the first. So I mean, it's very unique, and that's kind of the reason that I wanted to do it, was be the first. You know, make a difference. There's a lot of really great wrestlers, but it's unique to be the first for a whole country. So
yeah, that's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's quite an honor.
Yeah.
To be that way, you know. And I mean, you're in perfect shape for it, which is great. You know, I was just saying before the show that I had to take my jacket off so I could at least show that I'm at least half as jacked as you are.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I've been working out for a long time, probably too long.
Yeah. How long have you been wrestling?
About 16 or 17 years, since I was 7.
Nice.
So, yeah.
How'd you get into that, man? Because everyone has the start story, right?
Yeah. So actually, I was really just a farm kid, just grew up on a farm, and I always played football. And then I seen this flyer for wrestling, and I was like, oh, I told my parents I want to do this. And my parents were like, oh, no, we don't want to do this. We don't want him like doing wrestling. And so I only had one practice. And then I was like, oh, there's a tournament this weekend. And my parents were like, all right, you can go, because they thought I would just lose. And then, you know, I'd be done with it because I didn't like to lose. And so I went, and I knew nothing about wrestling, but I was really strong. And I just literally picked the kid up like a bale of hay and threw him on the ground. And my parents, my parents were like, oh God, what did we start now? So that's honestly how I started, and then I just kind of took off from there and just kept wrestling. I mean, my dad knows nothing about wrestling, you know, so he wrestled a little bit in high school, but it wasn't like I came from a wrestling family or anything really. I just kind of started on my own.
Did it just click when you threw this kid on the floor? Were you just like, this is what I got to do for 16 years now?
Yeah, not necessarily. I honestly liked football more, but I thought wrestling made me a better football player because of like the hand-to-hand combat, and just like it's harder than football, obviously, like the conditioning and everything. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I like doing it, but I was like, I'm just going to do this, you know, be better at football, do something different. And then, I mean, I fell in love with it. I still love football, I think. I mean, I watch it every Saturday in the fall, watching like Michigan State. That's my team. So
it's your team. You're from Michigan, right?
Yep. And I go to Michigan State University. So, yep.
That's fun too. Wow. So you're studying pre-law right now. How does that work with your studies that you have going on? And also, because I'm assuming you travel a lot for wrestling. You know,
I do. My professors don't necessarily like me all the time, that's for sure. But what
do they know?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty hard, because like this last semester, I left for like 3 trips. I went to like Barbados for a thing. I went to Argentina for a tournament, and then I went somewhere else too. And so I missed quite a lot of classes, but I go to it's an honors college, so it's pretty small, and so my professors are pretty understanding as long as you stay up on the work. But it is hard.
No doubt. I mean, I can just imagine the conversations with you and them. I mean, like, well, come on, cut me a little slack. I'm the first Jamaican wrestling team ever. I'm making history here.
Yeah, exactly. So most of them have been pretty understanding, which is pretty unique, because I think if I was in the regular population, you know, where it's 300 kids in the classroom, they wouldn't really care. You know, they'd just be like, whatever, you can fail. But
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure you've had a journey from when you were 7 years old and throwing that kid on the floor to when you got onto the Jamaican wrestling team. I'm really intrigued about this, you know, because we talked a little bit about Cool Runnings. That was the story behind how bobsledding got started for Jamaica. How in the world did Jamaica say, hey, we're going to wrestle?
So I'm not really sure. Honestly, the way I came about it was really weird. I was on Facebook and I seen something like Jamaican Wrestling Federation. This was probably like 7 years ago. And
JWF.
Yeah. And so I was like, I like told my dad, and he's like, wow, that would be really cool. Like if you did that, because at this point I wrestled for the US on 2 world teams. And I was like, that would be a really cool opportunity to be the first, to help them start their program. And so like, I like started like working for it, applied for my citizenship, did all that stuff. And then I was like, wow, this would be a really good opportunity because I've spent so much of my life in Jamaica. Ever since I was 2 months old, I've been going there. And
really?
Yeah. Huh. I just went there for a wedding last week for one of my best friends. So I have really good family friends there. And I was like, what, this would be really cool to help spread the sport and be the first person and give back to something that's given so much to me.
That's really cool, man. This is mission based for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, to help build this up. You wrestled on 2 world teams for the US.
Yes.
But then you see Jamaica and you're like, I'm going to help them build this thing.
Yeah.
Why were you there at 2? What have you been doing prior to wrestling there?
My parents went there for vacation. They just liked going there. And my dad's best friend lives there. He owns a water sports business. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we always just have been going down there because my dad owned a big farmer. He still does. We used to do a lot of cattle, like 700 head. And so he would work all summer. And then like in the winters, he would go there for like 2 months for vacation. You can't farm in the winter. So he would go there for vacation. And so like I just always was around the culture and around the people, and I really fell in love with it.
That's cool, man. What's your favorite part about the country?
Probably I like the food is really good, honestly, and but the people are what make the difference for me. Just like the culture and everything. It's more laid back and not as materialistic. Like, I mean, I've lifted in the same gym as Usain Bolt and people like that and talked to them, and like people there are a lot more humble. It's not like, oh, like that's Usain Bolt. He can just walk down the street and he's just a normal dude. And so I think that's very unique about Jamaica. It's not like they are like here where it's like if you see like some guy walking down the street, he has to have bodyguards. Like Usain Bolt can just walk around, do his own thing.
We were talking a little bit before the show about ADD. And who knows, maybe I was never diagnosed, but I might suffer a little bit from that too. I mean, even on the show here, we have this thing called a squirrel, that there's this weird thought. It's like a circus in my head, man.
Yeah.
There's weird thoughts that come into my head all the time. And then my brain just goes with it. But we were talking about that when you were young too, but you had a farm, you were able to just focus your energy somewhere else. Can you go into a little bit of that? Because I know we had the conversation a little bit ago, but I think it was really awesome. And this has to do with wrestling too.
Yeah. So pretty much my dad was just an old school farmer, still is. And so they told me I had asthma and I was ADD and stuff like that. And so my dad was like, no, you're not. He just didn't believe in it. And so he...
Wrong.
Yeah, literally. And he's like, you don't need any medicine or anything. And so he pretty much told me, like, if you work 10 hours or 12 hours a day on a farm, you're not going to be ADD. You can go right to bed at night and all your problems will be solved. And so, I mean, I think even if you have ADD, you can really channel it to do more things. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to have ADD. Like you do more things, and if you funnel it the right way, you can get a lot of stuff done. It's just you might jump from thing to thing.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of the really, really great entrepreneurs in the world are that way. They might have been diagnosed that way. They might not have been. I know I wasn't. Maybe just because my parents never took me to the doctor to say, why is this kid always jumping on so many different things? My oldest is in here, and he gets all these awesome, crazy ideas too. Or they could be crazy, awesome ideas, whatever it is, but he goes after every single one of them.
Yeah.
And you're talking, you worked on a farm for 12 hours a day, focusing your energy towards something. Right. I think you're hitting on something that's pretty key here. And I'm not a doctor, dude.
Yeah.
But this is the same way. I just started recently because I work out very consistently, like you, probably not as consistently as you do. 4 or 5 times a week for me.
Yeah, that's good.
That's not bad.
No.
I just switched. I mostly lift. I just switched from doing mornings because, man, who likes getting up early in the morning?
Yeah.
Some people
that's
do.
The worst.
It is the worst, and you're sitting there, I always eat my breakfast first, just a high protein breakfast. And then I would jump straight into a workout, pretty much no carbs in the morning until later on in the day after a workout. That was about it. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I shifted to working out at night, just lifting, not cardio, because cardio winds you up big time, keeps your heart rate going. But when I shifted to working out at night, I sleep so freaking good at night. I can only imagine working on the farm for 12 hours.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it wasn't like slave labor. I wasn't out there when I was 7 years old working 12 hours.
Yeah.
But, you just like growing up on a farm, you're always outside messing around. But yeah, if you work if you're not just sitting inside watching Netflix or something, then you don't have the type of problems, like ADD and stuff like that. If you work hard enough, you'll get tired. You can push yourself.
Yeah, right on.
Point.
You're touching on something pretty key here too, because there's this huge movement now, right? And I don't remember who started it, but there's some big names that are saying, don't watch TV, just read books. That's it. Just read. That's how you're going to relax. It's how you're going to do things. And dude, I've always loved movies.
Yeah. Oh, I love movies. I think last year I was like a gold card member for a local movie because I spent like $1,000 over the year. I used to go every like Tuesday, and I don't know, like I love movies too.
Yeah, it's a way to unwind for me, and it's just kind of to turn my mind off and do that. So I kind of bought into this mindset a little bit, just like, all right, I'll try it. And I started trying to read at night before going to bed, and maybe for about an hour or so. And, because I look at all the studies, I consume so much information, articles and everything. I'm like, I'm going to dive into novels. So that's what I'm going to do. Nonfiction, and just pour all this knowledge into myself. It was boring as hell, dude.
Yeah.
And then all I found out was that at the end of the day, my mind still had all this other stuff going on. Who cares if I read for an hour or 2 hours or whatever it was? I still had all these other things going on because I wasn't putting in the physical activity at that time at nights. I wasn't trying to just relax myself and just kind of zone out just for an hour or so. But to your point too, I think there's this big conceptual whatever to where if you just sit down and watch movies all day long, that's an okay thing, or even with kids, right? Because my son's here in the studio with us, my oldest right here, and they have digital devices, they have iPads, they have phones, all of my kids do. I've got two 12-year-olds and a 9-year-old, but they're not on those things all day long. Do I let you play on this thing all day long? No. Here's the question: do you even want to play on this all day long? Right on. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because you've been doing that for a while now to where that's not the thing. There's so much other things in life. You guys would love to have a conversation because he's a competitive swimmer. Yeah. Been doing it. But how tired are you? I'm bringing you into the show now. How tired are you after you have your swim practices at night?
I pass out in my bed.
You pass out in your bed. I don't know if we can hear him on mic, but yeah, he passes out in his bed, just like you're saying, And when you apply yourself, and this is important because I think this is a touchy subject for some people that are out there, the whole ADD, ADHD thing, and throwing pharmaceuticals at this quote unquote problem, right? My youngest son too, my 9-year-old he was said to have anxiety and, something like that. And this was a teacher in his school, not a medical professional, that was saying, I think he's got this stuff, because he just goes and thinks off in all these different directions. But he's got good grades. He has really, really good grades. And when you sit him down and you say, hey, you need to accomplish these things, that's not how his brain works.
Yeah, I definitely agree. People right now or so, they think that anything wrong, some pill can fix it.
It's horrible.
You're like, oh, my back hurts. Like, I have to go get Vicodin. No, maybe if you stretched or like did an exercise to loosen it up. Like, I agree completely with the ADHD thing. Like, if you work out or do something to tire yourself out, then you won't. You can at least control it. You know what I mean? Maybe you're not perfect. You might have to do some other things, but if you just sit in bed all day, then you're going to be, anyone would be like that, have cabin fever to go do something.
Right on. Or if you turn on a digital device and sit on it for 4 hours.
Yeah.
And I used to play video games all the time. I grew up in that. I had the first Nintendo that was out, and then all the way to the Xbox One that's there right now. We've got that too at home. They play, but it's not all the time, because there's so much more to life. And this is maybe your dad was awesome, dude. When he just said, nope, I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's so cool. It's like, no, you're just going to work on a farm for 12 hours a day. You're good. You're not going to be awake enough to even think about anything else or go off on these 10 different ideas. How did you end up going from that, right? From 12 hours? I know you said when you were 7, but it seems like, dude, when you go after something, which is really cool, and I respect this, when you go after something, you were just all in, because you told a little bit about when you made the decision to help Jamaica build this team, right? And help them get out to the world. Am I wrong or am I right when I said it seemed like it was just like a snap and you're like, I'm doing this?
Yeah, it was. And so I have a little bit of an addictive personality, and I know that. So like when I do something, I either do it 100% or 0%. I don't really like half-assing things or doing them halfway. And so when I like made the decision to do that, it was just like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And like everything I'm doing from this point is geared towards this, like how I train, like my traveling schedules, like how I eat, everything was just towards, and like obviously it's been hard because like it's expensive to travel, so I've been trying to get sponsors and different things like that. And it's been a journey though. It's been fun.
That's awesome. So you're diving into the wrestling and you're saying, this is just what I'm doing. You talked a little bit about getting sponsors too, because you have certain obstacles to overcome in order to make this happen for yourself. Because I mean, who's really made of money? I mean, some people are, right? But when you're going after some things, you don't even want to. You're doing it the smart way, man. You're not even trying to spend your own money to go after this kind of thing. You're gathering other people into the same vision, and that's what I see that. So when you talk to a sponsor, what does that conversation go like? How are you pitching it to them to say, hey, jump on my train?
Well, a lot of it is I don't do most of that because I'm the athlete, but I try to, when I am there, is just like explain to them like my dream and like show them how dedicated I am. Like, I mean, if you show people that you're all in about something, they want to support you. People want to see people do good in that aspect. People in Jamaica want to see me do good. They want to see me bring back an Olympic medal for the country and help spread the sport of wrestling. And I think the main thing that I try to explain is that wrestling, when I talk to sponsors and stuff in Jamaican about like wrestling and why to sponsor that instead of other sports, is because it's a unique sport. It's not like natural ability. It's not like track where you're fast or you're not. You can only get so fast if you're born, a certain way. Like wrestling is a sport, you get into it or you get out of it what you put into it. And so it's also a sport where you don't need much money. You only need a guy and another person, to get better. You don't have to have, you can do it on the beach. You don't have to have, hockey, $1,000 worth of equipment in an arena. Like you can wrestle in the sand, there's so many different options. And that's why, that's like mainly the pitch I give to the sponsors. And obviously that it's not free to do this. Like, it's hard on my parents to like pay for me to travel, and obviously Jamaica doesn't have the caliber of wrestlers I need to train against, so I have to go to outside training camps. Like in 2 or 3 weeks I'm going to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs to wrestle with some of their guys there. And so like I have to be able to get outside training, which obviously costs money. You can't all these traveling things. And the Jamaican Olympic Association does pay for the big tournaments, but they're not going to pay for everything.
That's amazing, man. I mean, I wish I had like pen and paper here, because you just mentioned about 8 things that we could go off on. Yes, you did. Because just even in that, because I always think back to, you asked me before the show, are you into sports at all? I used to be, especially when the Bulls were amazing, because I'm from Chicago. Michael Jordan's the dude. He just was always the dude. And he was something you said really kind of resonated with me, because it's something that he did too, is he never really compared himself to even his own team at all. He would go out and compare himself to, at that time, it was Larry Bird, or Magic Johnson, the other titans of that. Just like you're saying, Jamaica right now doesn't have the caliber of wrestlers for you to compete against, which you're helping build that. And at some point in time, they will. Yeah. That's the same way Jordan built the freaking championship team, as he went outside. That's so awesome. I love that. What's your favorite part so far, about building this team for Jamaica? Give me a story of just
the experience in general, I guess. Like the people I get to meet and the places I get to go is really like amazing. Like, I mean, I went to Barbados this year, Argentina, Calgary, Canada. I go to Peru in a month to wrestle in the Pan Am Games, so I'll get to go to like Montu Picchu or whatever. And so like I think really you learn a lot when you travel. Like you're very sheltered luckily my parents have always had me travel, so I've always got to see other places, but you realize that, you know, not everything is the best in America, and some things you're very thankful for. You know, you see how people struggle in other countries, and like you feel like when I go to Jamaica and I come back, like my coach was just saying it, he's like, wow, like we have it so easy in America. Like these people are working for like no money, like they're just like grinding out here, and like people in America some people don't even want to get a job. So you really get to see, when you see other parts of the world, you see how fortunate you are to be living in America and like the opportunities you have.
Man, that's a great point too. And that so fits. I mean, the day, I don't know when this one will post, you know, but today's Independence Day, July 4th, that we're recording this on too.
Yeah.
So I appreciate my country.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too.
No, I mean, I love Jamaica and like I love the United States too. You know, I can't say that one is better than the other, but like I've been able to see like that people in Jamaica don't have the same opportunity that we do here. And so that's why I want to do this for Jamaica, is because it gives kids and people, you know, that are struggling maybe another chance. You know, obviously like wrestling is very like, it's like fighting. So you can let off a lot of testosterone, a lot of frustration and things like that. And it can keep people motivated. I mean, anytime you work out, you feel better, you know, so.
That is so true. Anytime you work out, you feel better. Yeah. You know, I used to be 80 pounds heavier. I bring this up every now and then on the show, but I struggled, you know, and for people that are overweight, there's a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for that, you know, and I go off on tangents sometimes too with this thing, because I wish that somebody would have just told me, hey dude, you're fat, when I was fat.
Yeah.
You know, but everyone's like, hey, you look good. But that comes down to complacency too, because there's a lot in our country that we've just sort of been conditioned to accept, you know, which is also something you touched on, that we have it so good here that we just don't even realize what might be going on in the rest of the world, you know, and how much people are struggling and hustling and trying to make something of themselves. You know,
I mean, you can never settle once you know what I mean? That's like what happens is people, they get married or like they get a job and they're like, oh, like this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. And then they just let their bodies go. I mean, you have to be happy with yourself, you know, first.
Right on. That's the straight truth too, is you just have to be happy with yourself first. I was talking to my team at one of my businesses the other day. I'm like, you have to be your own number one fan, you know, because if you lose your job, let's see if your spouse sticks around. Right? Yeah. After all of a sudden they've got this picture of you being lazy or whatever because you just lost your job or you made a mistake or something like that, or you put on weight. Let's see how everybody feels about you after you do that. No, you have to be your own number one fan. It's the thing that drives you, and don't be complacent about it. You hit the nail on the head, man. That's the straight truth. Yeah.
I mean, I see it a lot. Just people like they feel bad for themselves, but no one feels bad for you. You know what I mean? It's right the truth. Like people don't, you know, you have to do it for yourself. Like, no, I mean, some people might, but like the majority of people don't feel bad for you. They're doing their own things. They have their own families, their own goals and stuff like that. Like it's up to you to make yourself better or make a change in your life.
It sure is. And how do you feel about this too? Because you're the only one that's responsible and the only one that can make a positive change in your life. Yeah, and everybody else around you, I see so many people that will try to go out of their way to make other people happy, you know, which is a great trait. That's fantastic, but at the expense of their own selves sometimes, you know, rather than putting themselves first. And there's this word selfish has gotten very, very bad stigma in our society, you know, but that's okay because selfish can be very bad.
No, I agree. Me and my sister were actually talking about this yesterday when we were at Cannon Beach. Like I was explaining to her that like I don't always like to be in relationships with like girls because I get so selfish. Like I want, like it's only about me, like my goals and stuff like that. And like she was explaining to me that like that's okay because like that's how she is in her relationship, but they do their own things, and like it's became like especially like in America that we like depend on each other instead of being two separate independent people and like pushing each other. Like you like it's I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's just that people get so dependent. And you're
doing really, really well explaining it, because I feel the same way. It resonates with me so much, man. You know, if you have to be the best for yourself first before you can be the best of whoever you are for anybody else. If you're struggling, of course you can still help other people out and all that, but are you going to be able to help other people out to the fullest that you possibly can if you're not in the right place on your own head and your own mind?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's why like I see people get in relationships all the time when they're not happy with themselves, and they think, oh, this person is going to make me happy, or like they can't be independent or they can't be by themselves. Like you have to be happy with yourself, and then like you can grow as a person like with the other person. I think like I mean it's hard to explain, but
that's a sad state too, isn't it? Reliance on somebody else for you to be happy.
Yeah, it is.
Or reliance on somebody else to fulfill you when you have the perfect ability to fulfill yourself.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's deep.
It is deep. I mean, if I had a bomb that I could drop right here, that would be it, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man. We're like kindred spirits. I love this.
Exactly. And like, I feel like it's not just about relationships. Like it's about like anything. Like with wrestling, like no one, you know, besides my parents, like they're not going to care if I don't make the Olympics. Like they'll just be like, oh, it was another guy who didn't make the Olympics. Like it has to be up to you.
Yeah. I was doing I don't remember what this was, but I was talking about this. You're right. It's up to you, because you're talking about your parents too. My mother's an amazing mom. She always was when I was growing up, you know, but a mom's job is just meant to support you. You know, and just to be happy for you pretty much no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Not really the ones to correct you as you get later on in life, because like, oh, you're doing a great job, way to go. And not even really the ones to necessarily push you.
Yeah. You
have to do that all on your own. And when you look around and say, oh, well, I wish I could be like that. Well, just go be like that.
No,
That's it.
I agree completely. Like people are like, oh, I should do this. It's like, why don't you just do it? You know, or people complain like about their weight, or like they're not good at something. Like you just do it. Like that's all it is. Like if you want to do something, then do it. Like people like talk too much and talk themselves out about it and think about it too much instead of just doing things.
Right on, man. You want another bomb here?
Yeah.
I don't think this is anywhere posted yet or not. I think I talked about this before, but this is perfect, because the different, this is a Rick Jordanism. You ready for that? The difference between dreams and visions is the could be versus the will be. Dreams are just something saying like, oh, I wish I could have that. You know, it's in my dreams someday to do that, versus a vision has a definitive point even in time that's saying, I will achieve this. I will have this in my life. I will attain this level of whatever, as long as I'm looking at it as a vision, as something that I'm going after. And like you made the decision for wrestling, so that I'm all in for this. Yeah. That's it. That's the decision point. It's not to go on a diet. It's not to have a better marriage or anything like that. It's a commitment to working on yourself first before anybody else, and saying, this is just a change in my life right here so that I can achieve whatever it is, rather than just thinking about it, hoping, wishing, whatever else. Dude, you're amazing.
Yeah. I mean, well, as soon as when you put it down on paper, it gets real. You know, when you say like, this is what I'm going to do, like you can think it in your head, but when you actually like physically put it down or like write it, and like the thing I've learned a lot is just in sports is, if you think like, oh, I want to go to this tournament and I want to place like top 5, you know, you might place top 5, but you're probably, you know, you might place below. If you go into like the tournament or event and you think, you know what, I'm going here to win, you might not win, but you're probably going to take 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to set your goals at the highest possible like point. I think that's very important, because I seen it like in high school sports or something, like our team would be like, oh, we should beat this team this week. You know what I mean? Yeah, but your goal should really be a state title, and the other things will come easier when you know what I mean? Because when you put a goal, you might not reach it, but you're going to try. And so you want to put it as high as you can, so the things below it become easier.
Right on, and we're talking up ourselves too about this, and because we're guys that just as soon as we put our minds to something, there's a lot of people that are like us too, which is awesome. There's a lot of people that aren't, but when we say this is going to happen, it just happens, right? It's not all sunshine and roses, though.
No.
There's a lot of suck along the way. There's a lot of falling flat on your face. Tell me a little bit about how you feel there, because I'm sure there's been times you've thought, why did I do this?
Yeah.
or you fell short and I made this decision to do whatever, and now I just didn't even come close.
Yeah, I mean, that actually just happened to me last weekend. So I went to this tournament in Canada, and I didn't exactly cut my weight the best to make my weight class, and I lost my first match. I was winning 6-0, and I literally blew it in the last minute. And I got done wrestling. I was just like, how did I lose? I was literally dominating the whole match, and I did one dumb thing, and I was either I can just quit now, or I'm just gonna fight back, because when you lose your first match, you have to wrestle a lot more times, and so
yeah.
I just was I'm just going to leave it all out here. And so I came back and I wrestled the guy again for third, and I beat him pretty bad, and so I think when you get backed up against a wall, you really find out what someone is. Some people quit and some people keep going. And you can't always change that. There's some people that just are going to quit, sometimes it's just deep inside you. And I think a lot of that has to do with how you're raised, or how you grow up, things like that. I'm sure your parents or your mom, you were saying, really supported you to have that mental toughness and that desire, not to back down, and I'm going to do this.
Right on. My parents were really, really good at that, because they never said you can't do this.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I'm also not a believer in saying, even to my kids, well, you can do anything you want to do, because I think that's kind of BS.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone has different talents, right?
Yeah.
My son could never wrestle as good as you. You could never swim probably as good as my son can.
Yeah, exactly.
But parents are great to say, or even to just be quiet and just say, go for it. Because if you, you're saying, you have the suck that's there. And I've had so many mistakes that I've made in my own life too. This isn't just we always make awesome decisions and then we're these super cool people that just have it all together. It's daily, because we're very, very human, and we very, very much can suck.
Yeah.
Just like other people, but it's how we approach the suck after it happens, and how we take that and say, okay, well, my back's up against the wall. You mentioned it when you were wrestling. When you said when you wrestle and you lose your first match, you have to wrestle so much more now. You can come back. Yeah. Absolutely, because it's never about how much you get knocked back down. It only matters that you actually get back up again.
Exactly. And I think the thing for me is I've won hundreds of wrestling tournaments, but the only ones I remember are the ones I lost. And I think,
wow.
I remember some of the ones I won, but the main thing I remember is the ones I lost, because I am so afraid of losing. It's not that I want to win. It's I'm losing is the worst thing in the world. That's my biggest fear, is losing. Yeah. And so when you have that fear, it's I can't do this, then winning becomes easier.
Yeah. Dude, say that again. I think can that be the one thing for today that somebody can, there's this thing on the show, right, where they can take away one thing, but I try to give them one thing. That was cool. That was amazing. Blowing my mind.
Yeah.
One more time, please.
So I'm trying to think how.
I know, right? I was like, oh Lord, can we say it again? Yeah.
When you're so afraid of losing, winning becomes easier.
It's not accepting the loss, but oh, okay, oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When you're afraid of losing, winning becomes easier.
Yeah,
that's
when
beautiful.
when losing is your biggest fear, winning becomes easier, because you will do anything not to lose. And when I train, I always think you know what, this is the one, these last 5 reps, this is what's going to make the difference. And anyone can do the normal workout, anyone can go to the gym, but it's those last couple of reps or last little things, or do 50 push-ups before bed. That's where you make the biggest gains. Everyone can work out,
Yeah.
It's about the little things.
Awesome. Dude, I really appreciate you being on, man.
Yeah.
This was amazing and mind-blowing. You got me all fired up. This was like, wow, let's keep going. All right, we're going to wrestle after this. And I'm going to get my butt kicked. Is what's going to happen. You're no kidding. You're like, yeah, you are. Come on, I got some good stuff going on.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this?
No, I guess just like we were talking about, the biggest thing is just believe in yourself.
Yeah, make the change for yourself.
For yourself. It's always up to you. It's not, you have to do things for yourself. You have to be selfish. Like you were saying, selfish is a bad word, but that's how you have to be. Like, especially in like, no one feels bad for you. No one like people want to see you do bad. Sometimes like you have to do it for yourself.
I love it. Thanks, my man.
Yeah, no problem.
Right. So yeah, where can people find you on social media so they can follow your journey here?
So my Instagram is Angus_Arthur. Angus like the cow. ANGUS_Arthur. ARTHUR. And then just Facebook, Angus Arthur. It's pretty easy to find me because I have a unique name.
I love it. I love a little Angus.
Yeah.
You know? A little filet, a little burger. Awesome. Thanks again, bud.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.